Now, this could have a huge impact on the future of cruising in 2021. Hi there, I'm Ilana from the website lifewellcruise.com. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're going to be talking about something that should have been good news that ended up being very bad news, and that is the Seadream outbreak. We're going to talk about all the details, how it happened, and what are the implications now of that, and how it might just impact the future of cruising. As well, we're going to talk about something to switch gears, the volunteer sailing. So yes, that is how to become a volunteer on a cruise if you want, as they do start sailing again. So let's talk about those two things in this video up ahead. Now, before I get started, I did want to mention that if you do like this video, if you find it helpful or informative in any way, please do give the video a thumbs up. I really do appreciate it. And of course, please consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so already. Let's get started. So let's look at what happened with Seadream Yacht Club. So Seadream was sailing the very first cruises in the Caribbean, and of course they were not sailing out of US waters, so this really doesn't have anything to do with the new framework for conditional sailing or even the CDC no-sail order, but somehow this has all gotten, well, caught up in it, and I will explain. So this first cruise from the Caribbean was leaving from Barbados, and you may have been watching vloggers, Ben and David, as they left from the UK. They did a transatlantic sailing. It looked absolutely gorgeous, and all the way to the Caribbean, where the Seadream Yacht Club, this was highly publicized as the first cruise in the Caribbean. As a matter of fact, you even had cruise critic, freelance journalist on board, as well as the points guy, Gene Sloan, and really some other media on board. This was a pretty big deal. Now, sadly, it all went awry as a couple of days into the sailing, a passenger reported feeling ill, and he tested positive for this virus. Now, how did this happen, and how did 6 other passengers actually test positive for this virus? That's a total of 7 people out of only 53 guests and over 60 crew. So how did this happen? What did they do and not do? What were the protocols like on the ship? Well, that's what we're going to talk about. Basically, as you head into Barbados, you do need to have a PCR test before arriving into Barbados, and that has to be done 72 hours prior to arriving there. That can be done at home. And after that, getting onto the cruise ship, the yacht, what had to happen was they also had a test, and this was a fast test of just 15 minutes, but they also had to test negative for that to get on board. And on the ship, a lot of things were done to keep people safe, and that included social distancing, that included the technologies to make sure that everything was clean on the ship. However, one thing that was not done was no masks were worn on the cruise ship, at least not until a few days in, when there was some really negative publicity. I did see it myself over on Twitter. There was some negative publicity over the fact that no masks were worn on this cruise ship. And as a matter of fact, it seemed like this cruise was sold as a non-mask cruise, and that the executives actually felt that it would mar the luxury of the cruise ship experience, and that is according to the article by Cruise Critic. Now, Seadream does say that they follow the CDC protocols, and they say they actually go above and beyond them. One of the reasons they say that is because they test more often than required. They actually do have COVID testing in the middle of the cruise, a few days in as well. But one thing they weren't following was wearing masks. Now, would it have made a difference? Well, it's hard to say, right? We just don't know. But definitely this is now a problem. And I'm going to tell you a little bit why, but let me know what you think first. Should they have been wearing masks? The crew and the passengers on the ship, when they could not social distance, when they were inside or outside? Please let me know in the comments below. Now, could this incident jeopardize the future of cruising? And that means the resumption of cruising from major cruise lines in the US. So on top of the very negative publicity that this is having in mainstream media and really for the average person that is looking at cruising, we also do have some pressure being put on the CDC to actually reinstate that no-sail order and to rescind the framework for conditional sailing to allow phased-in cruising. And as you know, this is really quite a process that cruise lines have to do. They are definitely not sailing tomorrow. So we have U.S. Senator Richard Blumenthal and U.S. Congresswoman Doris Matsui who have written to the CDC director, and they've asked him to actually reinstate the NOSA order to do exactly what we just talked about. And if those two names sound familiar in terms of the cruise industry, that is because they are actually the co-sponsors of the bill, which is the Cruise Passenger Protection Act. So they definitely are no strangers to cruising. And now, funny enough, that even if this would actually happen, the CDC NOSA order probably would have little impact on something like the Seadream happening again. And the reason for that is because the Seadream isn't actually even really governed by this NOSA order, because that cruise ship is sailing with less than 250 people. Yes, the CDC NOSA order actually only applies to cruise ships sailing out of the U.S. waters and cruise ships that are holding less than 250 crew and passengers. So it wouldn't even impact it, but it definitely could impact those larger cruise lines that are working really hard on these protocols. Let me know, please, what you think. What, if anything, the cruise line can do about this, or if you think that really this is a blip and we've been through these blips before. We know that MSC and other cruise lines have been sailing successfully very well using all of the protocols on larger cruise lines in Europe. Please let me know what you think, if this will impact the CDC no sail order and phased in resumption, or if it won't. Let me know in the comments below on a scale to 1 to 10. How bad is this? Okay, let's shift gears and let's talk about how you, if you want to, can actually volunteer to be on one of those trial sailings as cruises do get ready to resume. So we know that part of the protocols, part of the requirements for cruises to actually resume is first they have to have some sailings with crew, and then after that with volunteer passengers. And what volunteer passengers will have to do is really be part of making sure that the cruise lines just run through everything, sort of being testers, if you will. So for the embarkation procedures, the disembarkation procedures, the testing, emergency protocols, even the things that are just regular parts of cruising, like the dining and the entertainment. And so have a chance to do that, but it is kind of a job to do. Now, we've been wondering, how can people sign up to do this, if at all? So it does look like it's going to be travel agents, definitely, that are going to be on these sailings. But as well, it does look like that they may take some other people as well. And Royal Caribbean has just done something pretty creative. They created the Volunteers of the Seas. So you can actually apply to be a Volunteer of the Seas by going to the Royal Caribbean website. There's a form. I'm going to leave it in the description below because you're going to have the instructions that are there. And basically what you'll have to do is click on this form. You'll put in your name, the amount of people that are in your party. You can also put in your country code, so the first 3 letters, and they will also be asking for your crown and anchor number if you have one. So have that handy. It doesn't say that it's a requirement, but if you are already a cruiser on Royal Caribbean, you may want to put that in as well. Now, the 2 stipulations also are that you have to be over 18 and you also have to have no pre-existing medical conditions. So we don't really know more right now, but that is what we have so far. And go ahead and go over to the Facebook group called Volunteers of the Seas if you want to. There are over 30,000 members so far, and really it's just a fun group. There's actually no real information in there from the cruise line. I have to say I've scoured through it, but a lot of fun comedic stuff if you are into it. So that's what we know about the Volunteers of the Seas. Let me know if you'd like to be somebody who will test out the sailings. And now back to the CDC NOSA order and what has happened. Do you think that the framework for conditional sailing is enough for the CDC to keep that and for that to basically be a way forward for cruise lines? We know it's not going to happen right away that they are sailing, but at least they are able to start the process because they need to get a lot of things in place, right? They need to get the crew ready, they need to get the testing in place, and they need to get those ships ready with all of those enhancements. So they need a way forward, but I'd like to know what you think. And again, on a scale of 1 to 10, how bad is this for cruising? please let me know in the comments below. And if you did find this helpful, if you found this video informative, or if you liked it in any way, please do give it a thumbs up. I really do appreciate it. And of course, please consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so already. Thanks for watching, and happy future cruising.